attention because there are no kind of whistles except, they're very seldom.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question here. At the NHL level, watching all the games, so many goals are scored on scoring chances will occur on bad changes because the numbers are taken advantage of. And at your level, Peter, coaching college, and I don't know, Jordan, yours or Tom's, whether you even have to address the change in terms of coming off fast to take advantage of a proper change.
Well, I found, Wally, that having the parents, like we have two parents that wanted to coach and they do the door. And sometimes they get the change so much in their brain. Some players in a critical area, like back checking on 2-on-1s, and they're yelling at them to come off the ice. Or they might be on a 2-on-1 on offense.
Yeah.
And they're screaming at them to come off the ice. And I know I've talked to them and said, you got to read the situation. If they're involved in the play, you can't bring them off the ice just to change.
Tom, I got to do your door and work with the defense one time, and I loved it because I could talk. I love the door because you can talk to the players. You're right down at their eye level, bending over to open and close the door. And I had a chance to coach because I'm talking to the defenseman and how hard it was to change. And there was an opportunity to change, but the D stayed out longer. It got extended. And I just talked to the defenseman here. There's an example where she could have changed. Yeah. And she stayed out. We were already at the 40-second mark.
Well, if speaking of that, if Jim and Cassie are both there,
yeah,
I don't see much point in me standing between them, to see above everybody. I stand right at the boards between the forwards and the D. Yeah. So I can see the corners because you can't really see them standing back there. And if I things, light things to say, I'll talk to them there.
Yeah.
If it's else, like the last game, I said, Cassie, can you talk to Olivia about, this? And I showed her, and she talked to her when she came back. She tends to throw it right across the middle of our zone on the backhand, which is never.
Yeah.
And,
so. Wally, I was going to say that, yes, we do have to talk to them about changes and lots because they are crucial times where they will end up in goals scored against, especially that long change in the second period, and awareness of sometimes changing early rather than getting hemmed in your own end. The other one is always, that's really the most important period of, you always hear people saying dump and change. Well, yeah, you can dump and change, but one person has to pursue the puck. Otherwise it's a free breakout. And especially in that long change, that can be a free stretch pass breakout that all of a sudden they have numbers at your own blue line as people are scrambling to get on the ice. So
dump and change, and they have like a 3-on-1.
Yeah. Be aware of the numbers you have. Yeah.
See, Tom, I'm listening to what you said where the coach is yelling change, and they shouldn't. So, Jordan, I'm throwing this at you. Would you have your coaches run the door, let the goalies stand back to learn the importance of changes? They're going to do the door for a game, focusing on changes. Because I found, I could really be positive and coach and encouraging, opening and closing the door. And there was the next 2D up. It was just amazing to be able to talk to them, to ask questions to them. So it's an opportunity, like for me, really to interact with the two players. But if your coaches were given the door and you're monitoring shift length, change opportunities. Coaches have to be aware of it to make the players aware of it. I think it's a pretty good idea. And I don't know, Tom, whether your parent coaches, have you had a conversation with them about changes?
Oh yeah, I've talked to them, and we even flipped them around because one parent's daughter playing forward, every time she came off the ice, he beat. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And so I just flipped him around so he was taking care of the D. But I've talked to him, but it's a way for the parents to be involved. I prefer, I'd prefer the players to be openly, like at the higher levels, I have the players open the gates, but these kids are only.
Yeah.
A simple kind of strategy tactic that I've used that works pretty well, especially at the college level, because they just have that ability to do it, is not just the errant dump. Very often, our guys know or knew when I coach that when it's time for a change, one of you is going to stay on, and the player that is facilitating the change with the movement of the puck very often flips it to the opponent's goaltender. So now that goaltender has to hold that puck, evaluate the situation. Do they move it? Do they not move it? With that other player on our team knowing that that's what we're doing, we've got many, many in-zone draws that the goaltenders just chose to freeze a puck because they had to make a quick decision, as opposed to just dumping into a corner where a D can swing, gain the net, look for a breakout pass, start to move their feet. So that's a tactic that we use that has worked very well.
Peter, Daryl Belfry, I'm going to throw this at you. Why not pass it to your own goalie?
I think it depends on where you are on the ice. I mean, I guess what I'm talking about is they've gained the red line, and at that point, they know they're going to attack. I mean, certainly you could give it to your goaltender, but if you aren't able to move the puck in a precise and quick manner, now you've given your opponent zone time in your zone for a face-off, as opposed to I'd rather be in the other zone, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have possession. So this is where Daryl Belfry says, nobody's doing this. And that's an extreme. But the idea of possession changing is sort of his mantra right now. And let the other team get caught out there too long, and you're fresh. And I've never, ever thought of it 5-on-5. But when I ran conditioning camps with 30 pros, 2 teams of 15, they changed on the whistle, but they had to pass to their goalie.
Yeah, and I think part of what you just said is part of the key is a little bit is going to depend upon how skilled those individuals you are at, because you said pros. So it depends on how skilled the kids you have, the players that you have that you're working with are. Certainly you could do it. I mean, I think every so often, like I've seen it happen naturally, if you will, intuitively by the players.
Yeah.
But it's nothing that we've ever used as a mantra, because I mean, I could see it where back to the goaltender, goaltender moves it to a D, maybe you fly an offside forward and you try to hit him on a breakaway. I mean, I think honestly, I think that would be a really great tactic to maybe utilize if you're down a goal in a game, later in a game or later in a period when you feel like the other team is a little bit fatigued, for sure.
Okay. Well, 2 hours, 25 minutes, guys. And I'm going to be at practice tonight, Tom. I'll make sure the mic's operating. Thanks for the opportunity. And thanks for joining us, Peter. Really enjoyed having you. I'm working on Ellen Andrews being on next week, because everything we're trying to do, influencing parents and affecting players, is what he's able to do because he's got this enterprise of influence, which really is, he has all kinds of graduate coaches that coach that way, that are working in communities in this province and neighboring provinces. And the philosophy is the same when they go through his program.